What's going on, people? So, got a new pair of shoes here, which is actually relatively new. A lot of the reviews I've been doing lately, the shoes have been not worn, but definitely not new because they've come from deep in the past. This just came from like a couple weeks ago. So either way, let's go ahead and jump on into things, right? So, side of the box is over there somewhere. A little picture in there for the people who care to see that sort of thing, right? But past that, let's go ahead and move on. Now, this isn't going to have a whole lot of stuff going on with it because I've talked about Air Max Pluses many times in the past, and so I don't feel like I need to go too deep into them, and therefore I won't. I'll just hit the high notes as far as what makes sense, and then that'll be the end of that. So, this right here, Nike Air Max Plus, black, red, 3M reflective, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. Now, as far as the bottom goes, what you see down there, that's what that's looking like. It's pretty plain, pretty much your standard stuff, but I do like the way this heel thing is going on with like this kind of gradient that they have. So that's just a nice touch. Otherwise, it's pretty much like the same standard stuff. Got a little TN in the middle and, you know, Air Max Plus things, right? Moving on up here to the midsole and whatnot. So basically, same thing you would always expect. So nothing too fancy about it, right? The fancy stuff happens later. But I will say, the bottom thing I was talking about kind of matches up with what you see down in here on the middle side there. So that's pretty cool. And another thing, while we're talking about the midsole, somebody pointed this out in a video. You don't really see it so much on the outside, but if you look from the inside of the shoe, right, you'll see that the bubble thing on the bottom there, it has like a yellow and red thing. And I guess that's like a color that's on all the Air Max Pluses, which kind of blew my mind, right? Because I've worn a lot of these, right? I can't say I've worn a pair lately. I don't remember the last time I did. If anybody out there does, like, go ahead and comment that down below. But yeah, I feel like it's just been like forever, you know what I'm saying? But either way, so that aside, quick pictures and stuff to show you some other things and whatnot about the shoe, which is basically the same things you saw, just from a slightly different angle or whatever. There's not a whole lot happening going on here. You know, you got the black, you got the red, you got like the blackish, whitish, silver strip thing down the middle and all that stuff. It's easy to take it all in all at once, right? The one thing about these that you may not notice, and I didn't notice this at first, is that they do have some 3M going on. Now, is that the reason I bought these? You're dang sure right it is, right? Because I'm a big 3M fan, and I saw these at first and I was like, I don't really need another pair of Air Max Pluses, but then I saw the 3M, right? I was like, oh, maybe I do. So anyways, past all that stuff, I don't think there's too much to say, but I'll get you some pictures real quick just to kind of back me up for what I'm going to say about the material. The material, it's kind of smooth, right? But overall, it's still, you can kind of feel like this whole netting situation that they have going on in here. So it's an odd situation, like to the touch or whatever, but it makes sense for what they're going for because I don't think they could have really done that with any other breakdown of materials. So I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just drawing attention to it because it's something that makes these different. And one thing that I've said in the past, that when you look at Air Max Pluses, a lot of them have very different materials. So like look closely at the one that you're thinking about buying if you're thinking about buying one. Otherwise, the experience is largely the same. It's just you may not get the same type of materials, right? Either way, so moving on past that, I don't think there's a whole lot else to say. So I'm going to jump into some personal thoughts and just do that piece of it. Personally, I'm pleased with these, right? The one thing I'm not so thrilled about is how they have this big, the strip thing on the top, right? It just has a look to it that makes me kind of not, I don't know, makes me not so into that piece. But it makes perfect sense, like, for the way they built these. So I'm not going to complain about it. It's just a little bit weird. But taking the whole thing into account, right? Looking at this as an overall shoe, not just like this one little piece here. Yeah, I am definitely on board with these. So I'm cool with like the money I spend and all that good stuff. And just to bring it up, like I did see ACS Sneakers. He bought a pair of these, and that was around the time I stopped watching reviews, unfortunately. So I didn't get the full picture of it back then, several months ago. But I did see a guy at the gym wearing these like a few weeks back, and the light hit him in a certain way. I was like, oh, that's what's going on with those? Bought them on the spot, on my way home. And so that worked out pretty well for me. So if you're an Air Max Plus fan and you're a 3M fan, I think that you'll be a fan of these overall too, especially since like they tend to be on sale a fair amount, though that does mean you might have a problem finding your size. What size do you need? Stay tuned. The answer may surprise you. So I think that's about enough as far as like the personal thoughts thing. But one thing that I didn't cover and I wanted to was like when I bought these, right? I bought these from Foot Locker, I think it was. Yeah, Foot Locker. So I went in the Foot Locker. I saw that they had them because I knew they had them from like seeing them several previous visits. Like, hey, 9.5? He's like, maybe. So he looks them up. It's like, oh, we don't have them, but like the store on whatever street has them. So, because like, if you go to Foot Lockers or Champs's or whatever, Foot Actions back in the day, rest in peace, then you can have that option to ask them to look up the shoe and they'll tell you what other stores around you have it. And so he's like, yeah, they have them over there, so you can go pick them up from there if you want. I'm like, yeah, it's a little out of the way, but I mean, I can do that, sure. Because it's like I had to do a slightly different route home. Not a big deal, just like a couple minutes added. It's like, oh, well, actually, you know what? If you want, I'll just put the order in for you. And I was like, okay, cool. He was already helpful enough. I wasn't going to ask him to do too much more. But yeah, so he ended up just saying, yeah, I'll order them for you and they'll just ship. And when they do that, they ship from the closest place, which is that store. So they basically like shipped that day, arrived the next day, and I didn't have to go and get them. So very nice. Remember that if you're a Foot Locker or Champs shopper. Sizing. I bought these in a 9.5, right? The reason I bought these in the 9.5 is because I find that your average Air Max Plus or Air Max in general is a true to size fit, right? How's that playing out for me? Well, let me let you know, right? Because it's not playing out in a way that I would necessarily suggest to everybody. I'm good with this, right? But this particular build, because of these materials, I'm guessing, they're kind of feeling a little more narrow than these usually are. And because of these materials, I don't think that they're going to really break in too much more. So on this particular one, a lot of people are probably going to want to go up a half size. A whole size might be a little much. I don't know your feet or whatever, but if you already go up a half size in your Air Maxes over your true to size fit, then you might want to. But either way, I'm just saying, this one right here, it's got a bit of a narrow thing going on, and these materials aren't helping. So also on those materials, they're pretty stiff, right? Because this isn't your normal mesh type of thing that you find on most of the other ones. So when you're walking around in them, it's not going to give you the same comfort. And this is just me walking around initially right in here. Over time, maybe that goes away. Everything breaks in a little bit. You just have to question how much is it going to break in or how little is it going to break in. So that's where, the whole size thing might come into play here. But past that, if you get the sizing thing worked out, if you're walking around in these, I don't suspect that you will be disappointed because even though the technology is kind of on the older side, it holds up pretty well even today to me. So you should expect good things. Also, one thing that I will bring up, different people have said different things about when you have like full length air units versus like stuff like this, how it's broken up, saying that these styles are more, they just feel better because they're more flexible and give your foot more of an ease when you're walking and stuff. And I will say there is some truth to that, right? So just think about that when you're comparing Air Maxes and such, right? So that's pretty much enough out of me. I just wanted to share some thoughts and whatnot. And now that I've done that, I guess we can close things out. And hopefully, if you do find a pair of these, like you can get your size, because I'm just going to go back to that because it's a personal opinion here, but they are really cool, especially when the light hits it and you got like the 3M, it's all shiny, like a hatchet, if you will. So there is that piece of it. It's just one of the cooler looking Air Max Pluses that I've seen lately. And I've seen a lot of Air Max Pluses. Most of them aren't like that great, honestly. I just really like the look. So when I do find a look that's good, I try to pick it up if I can. But anyway, so I've rambled enough. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I don't have any more recording today. I thought about doing a live, but I don't know. I might not. We'll see what happens. Later, people.